नमस्कार साथियों, स्वागत है आप सभी का हमारे इस चैनल सुई सून पर। और कोरोना के बढ़ते संक्रमण के दौर पे हम आशा करते हैं कि आप घर में सुरक्षित होंगे, अपने परिवार को, अपने दोस्तों को, अपने जानकारों को और समाज के बाकी जितने जीवी वर्ग हैं उनका ख्याल रख रहे होंगे, मास्क पहन रहे होंगे, सैनिटाइजर और साबुन का निरंतर प्रयोग कर रहे होंगे। ये बहुत ज़रूरी है हम देशवासियों के लिए। मैं समझता हूँ कि जिम्मेदारी अपने कंधों पर अपनाएं और साथ ही साथ इस चीज़ का आभास रखें कि इस दौर में, बढ़ते हुए दौर में, हम लोगों को ही एक दूसरे का ख्याल रखना है और देश को इसी रूप से निरंतर और सशक्त तौर से आगे बढ़ाते रहना है। आज के हमारे एपिसोड में एक बहुत ही खास मेहमान है जो हमसे कलकत्ता से जुड़े हैं। वहाँ के जगमगाते नए वकीलों में उनका नाम शामिल है और वो टैक्स प्रैक्टिस में वहाँ पे अव्वल दर्जे के वकीलों में उनकी गिनती होती है। तो मैं स्वागत करता हूँ श्री सौरभ बगड़िया जी का। सौरभ, बहुत बहुत स्वागत है आपका हमारे इस चैनल पर। और सवाल जवाब की जो हमारी श्रृंखला होती है उससे हमेशा पहले मैं एक मौलिक सवाल अपने अतिथियों से करता हूं कि थोड़ा सा, जिससे पहले हम आपसे टैक्स की बातें करें और कलकत्ता की वकालत की बातें करें, उससे पहले आप हमें ज़रा अपने ज़िंदगी के शुरुआती दौर के बारे में बताएं कि आपका जन्म, आपकी शुरुआती पढ़ाई कहाँ हुई और उसके बाद ऐसा कौन सा वो समय था आपके जीवन में जब आपने निर्णय लिया कि मुझे वकील बनना है और वकालत करना है।
Sure. So I am born and brought up in Calcutta, and my schooling was from Don Bosco Park Circus, which is one of the most premier educational institutions here. And after finishing my schooling, I ventured to pursue my law from Pune. My decision to do my law was, I would say, just at the brink, at the last moment. ISC examinations were finished, and that was the time when around a lot of other courses were very popular. One branch would be the science branch, which is completely different, but on the non-science frontier, BBA courses were very popular that time, and I was actually looking forward to this get enrolled in the BBA courses in the country and even outside the country. I had actually applied to many colleges, but at the same time, I also kept my legal frontier open. And I don't know what happened, but I just took a call, and then at the end of the day, I ended up doing law itself. And my father has been a big let us say, my backbone, and I've always looked up to him, and the legal profession, since I've always grown up seeing him. So at the end of the day, it was not a very tough decision for me to take. But that time when you were in class 11 and 12, you're always thinking what to do, what next to do. So that time I was actually confused, very confused, and to choose between a BBA course and an LL.B course. And us samay aapki 5-year law courses were, gaining momentum. It had come into play, and it was not so popular. It was not so talked about, let us say. So there was a bit of hesitancy on that front also. So I met up with few friends who were a bit senior, who had enrolled themselves. I talked to some people knowledgeable in the profession, and then I took my call. And from there, did my 5-year course from Pune University. And just after finishing my law degree, I pursued my LL.M from Warwick University in UK. So there, it's just the very, you may say, Indian way that you finish academics first and then plunge into law.
जी, रेस्ट एज दिस इज हिस्ट्री। अगर आपने बीबीए कर लिया होता तो मैं समझता हूँ कि कानून जगत में बहुत बड़ा वैक्यूम हो जाता। आपने इतने सालों से, इतनी मशक्कत से टैक्स की और कानून की दुनिया में अपना कंट्रीब्यूट किया है, जो स्टूडेंट्स इवॉल्व करने में उसकी मदद की है। तो आइए जरा चलते हैं आपके लॉ स्कूल के समय पे। आपने बताया कि पुणे विश्वविद्यालय से आपने 5 साल का लॉ कोर्स किया और जैसा कि आपने सही इस चीज़ की व्याख्या भी की कि उस वक्त बहुत 5 साल के कोर्स नए थे हम लोग के ज़माने में जब हम लोग ये कर रहे थे। और अगर मैं गलत नहीं तो मेरे ख्याल से ये 2002 या 2003 से 7 या 8 के बात होगी जब आपने अपना LL.B किया होगा। तो ये बताएं कि कलकत्ता में आप पले बढ़े, आपने बताया, और कलकत्ता की जो एक अपनी जीवन शैली है वो बहुत ही मैं कहता हूँ रस से भरी है और उसका एक अपना ठहराव है वहाँ पे जो अपने जीवन का, जो मैं समझता हूँ। तो वहाँ से आपने 12वीं तक पढ़ाई की और एकदम से वो आप आ जाते हैं पुणे। तो मैं 2 सवाल आपसे करूंगा। एक, पहला तो विस्तार से हमें ये बताएं कि वो जो 5 साल आपके निकले पुणे में और पुणे विश्वविद्यालय में कानून पढ़ते हुए, वो आपका कैसा रहा दौर, और कलकत्ता और पुणे का जो कल्चरल डिफरेंस था वो आपने कैसे फेस किया?
This is a good question, Jayant. This is actually what Pune was a life-changing experience.
जी.
being, leaving your home city is always, a challenge. Be it Calcutta, New Delhi, Mumbai, wherever you have been, born and brought up, wherever is your home city, once you leave your home city for higher education for the first time, as a teenage person, 18, you leave. So you always have some hesitation, some excitement. So those feelings were there. But when I went to Pune, at that time, 2002, now I know that the demographics have really changed there. But around that time, it was predominantly a student city. It was so young, so vibrant. If you're standing on the footpath on a road, you just see students and students, especially, the law college area, the, colleges have, the university area. If you go to those places, you just see students and students, and you are amazed. I had never been to Pune before my first visit as a student. So I was the city was absolutely new to me. Obviously, we've been to Mumbai many times before, but never to Pune. So, and the Pune city is, it's a very warm city, and it embraces you like anything. And with the young college crowd, you are also motivated to work hard. And in Pune, especially, you have the advantage of uh, vibrant culture and demographics, and people from all over the country and even worldwide are coming to study there. So the exchange of ideas, the interaction, the cultural interaction is so enormous and so fruitfuling. If you look back from now, sitting back now, and if you just go through the student life in Pune, it's a very rewarding experience. Apart from the educational front, because this after schooling, you have education on the two fronts. One is education, is college academic education, and the second is your cultural upbringing and your intermingling with different cultures. So that is very important. It exposes you to people from all walks of life and all cultures from different states. You get to know them firsthand, and you stay with them, you eat with them, you spend your 5 years, important 5 years of your life with friends, together, helping each other out, understanding their culture, understanding the problems together, in it together. So that was a really good experience.
आपने बड़ा अच्छा बताया कि जी बहुत
Now
बहुत
I
फर्क है
think
दोनों के
so I've
कल्चर में जी
also attracted a lot of software crowd, but during those times it was predominantly a student city.
यूथफुल वाइब बहुत है. इनफैक्ट माय लास्ट आई थिंक 2-3 विजिट्स टू पुणे पिछले 5-7 सालों में वही मुझे लगा, क्योंकि उससे पहले मैं मेरे ख्याल से एक मरतबा शायद 10 साल पहले गया होगा, बचपन में कभी विजिट किया होगा. तो बचपन में तो जब आप फैमिली के साथ घूमते हैं तो आप सिर्फ हिस्टोरिकल प्लेसेस, म्यूजियम, उस वक्त की मैं आपको अगर 90s की बात बताऊं, पर जब आप थोड़ा सा कॉन्शियस गेन कर लेते हैं, थोड़ा सा आप दुनियादारी वाली चीजें समझ लेते हैं, तो जो एक पुणे की अपनी वाइब है वो वाकई आपने बताया कि काफी यूथफुल है. तो कलकत्ता से आप पुणे गए, और पुणे में वो 5 साल जरा अपने लॉ स्कूल के हमें समझाइए आपके कैसे रहे, और खासकर कौन कौन से इंटर्नशिप और मूट कोर्स आपको वहाँ पे करने का मौका मिला उन 5 सालों में, क्या क्या चीजें सीखी आपने. ये मैं सवाल आपसे इसलिए पूछ रहा हूँ क्योंकि हमारे जो बहुत यंग यहाँ पे व्यूअर्स हैं, दर्शक हैं, वो हमेशा जानना चाहते हैं हमारे मेहमानों से कि क्योंकि कंफ्यूजन बहुत रहता है आज भी बच्चों के दिमाग में जो अपना 5 इयर्स या 3 इयर्स का लॉ कोर्स करें, कि कौन सी इंटर्नशिप करें, अपने लाइफ के किस हम पड़ाव पे उसको करें, मूट कोर्स करें कि नहीं करें. सारे बड़े सारे उथल पुथल में रहते हैं बच्चे. तो ये मैं आपसे सवाल करना चाहता हूँ कि आपने कैसे अपने आप को नेविगेट किया उन 5 सालों में, और कैसे चीजों को चूज किया.
As far as the students currently are involved, I think so one of the biggest advice is that you should always get involved. Now, to get involved in today's educational institutions, there are plethora of opportunities. In law schools, especially, 2 or 3 very important involvement opportunities are there, which includes moot courts, debates, and internships. So these are 3 frontiers in which all law students should, strive to get involved in some manner at some time. Also, one of the other important aspects is writing articles. So many of the law schools have now started their own publications. which are a big boon for students, who are grappling to get their articles published. They have got good, teachers who are guiding them how to go write good articles and research and write good articles. So during my time also, I had the opportunity of good mentors and teachers, and I would say the first 2 years we participated in some intra-college moot court competitions, and then onwards I had written a couple of articles. During that time there were some good off the syllabus courses. Especially I remember doing cyber laws, and then I had written an article on taxation of e-commerce, which got published in some online website. And my first moot court at the national level, I would say that was actually the first time I got really involved with taxation as a subject, and that was Nani Palkiwala moot court competition. And Nani Palkiwala tax moot court competition, I think that was the first year of its starting of the said moot court competition, and we participated in that moot court competition. It is a tax moot court competition, is still going on, I believe, and it was in memory of late Nani Palkiwala, who is a legal pioneer and doyen of the bar. And that was the first time I actually worked on a issue relating to taxation. It was a query to the moot court. Was the subject was relating to and provision of Income Tax Act, and we went to Mumbai, and we were semi-finalists, and it was a great experience. Moot court competitions, participating in moot court competitions at the national level, where participants from all over the countries come, also is a very rewarding experience. It helps you also assess where you stand in comparison to your peers pan India. So that gives you a good amount of confidence to take a decision also, and it also in a very let us say amateur fashion exposes you to litigation. So it also helps you to take a call whether litigation is where you want to go in future, or you want to get to a corporate law firm. But that's a very that's a call that all law students nowadays have to take, especially in the 4th and 5th year. We'll talk about it in detail. But I did a couple of internships also. Both my internships which I did were with corporate law firms as well as individual lawyers, and this is very important. And I always advise all my juniors and some students who come for advice. I always advise them that during the last 2 years, that is the 4th and 5th year, you should always mix and match your internships and try and do a couple of corporate law internships and an internship with some individual lawyers in courts, maybe high court or lower courts, so that this will probably help you take a decision as when you finish your law as to which attracts you more. So you should have some first-hand experience in corporate law firm as well as in litigation.
Right. Another follow-up question I have for you out of this internship, because you said that you have interned both with the chamber lawyers and also with law firms, and sometimes, especially I think in a 5-year law course, students are always questioning themselves where to start first. Would a litigation chamber be an ideal place to start their internship and learn from them, or what would be your guidance to these young law students? Which is a better pick, especially in a 5-year law course, or even let's say in a 3-year law course, to go to a chamber practice first and learn the basics of litigation and how the court works, the procedures and the formalities, or a law firm should be a better step for them to start interning? Which do you think should be the right pick?
This is after they finish their law?
No, while they're in law school. For internships.
While law school, they should have a internship experience at both the places. Now the problem is that, see, in internships, I think so you get a month, a couple of months at the maximum, at a stretch. Probably if you take 1 year, then probably 2 to 2.5 months, a law student is able to do internship. So this is quite a small period for anyone to actually have a full-fledged experience of either litigation or corporate law. But the idea is that you get some flavor of what litigation is or what corporate law is, and that should help you decide when you finish law as to where your inclination lies.
Right, right. इसके बाद आते हैं आपके अब नेक्स्ट फेज पे। आपने बताया आप वॉरिक यूनिवर्सिटी गए और जहाँ तक मैं समझता हूँ आप ने स्कॉलरशिप भी इसमें आई थिंक यू आल्सो गेन्ड सम गुड स्कॉलरशिप फ्रॉम इंडिया। उसके बारे में
it's a Southeast Asian scholarship. That's a part scholarship. I was fortunate enough to get that, and Warwick was also an amazing experience. So the 1 year law course, 1 year master's in law. And I had done my LL.M in international economic law, which included international taxation and public international law. So I also had a bit of some subjects relating to private international law. So Warwick was another experience. It was really a very exhaustive 1 year course. Most of the LL.Ms in UK are 1 year. I believe LL.Ms in US, some of them are 2 years. But in UK, most of the LL.Ms are a 1 year law course, 1 year course, which is very exhaustive. So you have to do a lot of reading and researching, and then you, at the end of the day, write your own dissertation. You choose your topic after consulting your mentor. So there again, as Pune, you had exposure and to different cultures from all over India. In Warwick, I had exposure to people and cultures from all over the world. So it was just a step forward from Pune. So even my professors there were very erudite, and they were all experts in their own respective fields. Warwick was a good experience.
जी तो मेरे एक सवाल है जी.
Yes.
Sorry. Please complete and then I'll put my questions.
That also helped me, build up my knowledge in international taxation and international customs law, especially related to subject area like transfer pricing and anti-dumping. Warwick was very helpful. The studies in Warwick were very helpful.
Right. सौरभ, 2-3 सवाल. एक, जो यंग बच्चे हैं जो विदेश जाना चाहते हैं, स्पेशली यूके में, आपने बताया कि आपने वॉरिक यूनिवर्सिटी से LL.M किया और आपने स्कॉलरशिप भी इसमें आपको ग्रांट मिली स्कॉलरशिप की. तो ये स्कॉलरशिप के लिए कैसे अप्लाई कर सकते हैं यंग बच्चे? कौन सा सही फोरम होता है उसके लिए? पहला सवाल तो ये. और दूसरा ये कि जो आपने जो पढ़ाई की बात, उसमें टैक्स और इकोनॉमिक्स और ट्रांसफर प्राइसिंग और एंटी डंपिंग के सब्जेक्ट्स आपने बताया आपका फोकस रहा उसमें. तो एक पहला सवाल तो स्कॉलरशिप के बारे में थोड़ा सा गाइड करें बच्चों को कैसे मिल सकती है. दूसरा, आपने इंडियन एजुकेशन और एक फॉरेन एजुकेशन में क्या फर्क पाया?
First of all, taking your first question regarding scholarship, nowadays if you research online, there are a whole lot of charitable institutions giving scholarships, both in India and abroad, and each individual colleges also have their own scholarship giveaways. So I would suggest students who are looking forward for higher education to research properly. Scholarships might be divided into broadly 2 categories. One is need based, one is merit based. So both these are they look at an application in their own way, because the need based would look at your need and your background first, and then go on to see the merit also. Whereas the merit based scholarship would first filter using the merit application, and then we'll see whether you actually need it or not. So there are many institutions giving scholarships, and one should really research. Both need-based and merit-based scholarships are there. Also, there's one thing that one should also, while applying for higher education, one should do a good research as to the subject areas where one would which one would want to study. A lot of times what happens is that a particular university is very popular and highly graded, but that university may not be very good in the subject area which you want to study.
True.
So, subject-based research is very material and very important, especially in law. In law, if you see, there are the best universities, you can take any name, but maybe in some niche areas they are not so good. And a university which is not as highly ranked as the top five may be the best in the subject area which you want to study. So this is one aspect students should always remember while applying, is to you know know what they want to study higher, for go higher, go and study which subject area, and depending on those subjects research and shortlist your law schools.
और मेरा सेकंड क्वेश्चन सौरभ ये कि क्या फर्क आपने पाया बिटवीन एन इंडियन एजुकेशन एंड अ फॉरेन एजुकेशन?
Basically, the foreign education and Indian education, see, my experience has been, I have gone abroad during my masters, and as an undergraduate level, I have studied in India. So it will not be actually right to compare undergraduate studies with the postgraduate studies, but at the same time, you can at least assess some difference. The major difference, what I felt personally felt, was in UK they give a lot of importance to one's own research and reading, particularly in law. So what our course was very standard, and the lecturers and the professors, they actually expected you, there was a reading list, so the typical reading list, but with that reading list there were additions of and recommendations, recommendatory reading, and the professors actually expected that you at least read 10 times more than what is actually just prescribed. So the focus on self research and self reading is much more abroad. That's what that was my personal experience in UK.
थैंक यू सो मच सौरभ फॉर दैट वंडरफुल इनसाइट. मेरा जो अगला सवाल है आपसे, क्योंकि अब आपने LL.B कर लिया, आपने LL.M कर लिया, एंड नाउ यू आर स्टार्टिंग द लीगल करियर एंड देन यू आर बैक इन कलकत्ता इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग. तो आप ये बताइए कि किस चेंबर से आपने अपना सफर शुरू किया, हाउ वर द इनिशियल इयर्स ऑफ एज अ न्यू लॉयर ऑन द ब्लॉक, और क्या क्या उस टाइम आपके लर्निंग कर्व्स रहे जब आपने शुरुआती दौर पे अपना गाउन धारण किया और यू स्टार्टेड प्रैक्टिसिंग बिफोर द कोर्ट्स एंड द ट्राइब्यूनल्स?
I started my practice in Calcutta with in the chamber of Shri Arjun Bajoria ji and Mr. Khaitan also. And as a young lawyer, to dive into litigation is it's a very difficult decision. First of all, you must understand that for the first couple of years, I have put it moderately, but at least let's say for the first 5 years, you cannot have any expectation of any monetary benefit. And it as well, Jayant, when you talk to your peers who are in corporate law firms and the salaries and the perks that they get. So, you start, at the back of the mind, you're always comparing. So that was one of the most difficult, that is actually one of the most difficult parts for young graduates. That is also one of the reasons which hinders young graduates to take up to litigation, because in litigation, especially during the initial years, the pay is not so good. You have to really struggle, you have to make your mark, and people have to get to know you, and it takes the couple of years just goes past before you start getting independent briefs. So the learning curve is really full of hurdles and very strenuous. You have to spend a lot of time in the chamber, get involved. At the same time, you have to attend court. Now, a lot of times, some juniors, they feel that just attending court is a waste of time if you do not have any brief. But it is not so, because attending court, you have to be actually attentive. It is not that you just go to court and just mingle around, talk around, have a bit of coffee and come back. You have to actually attend courtroom proceedings, and be attentive in court. That will help you learn and pick up the court decorum and manners and the way how the court system works. And the sooner you pick it up, the faster you will be able to have your own foothold in the courtroom. So that the first 5 years were pretty hard, and slowly and steadily one is able to establish himself in the litigation front. And one of the very first advice my senior gave me, and that I always share it with everyone, is that you concentrate on drafting. If you are a good draftsman, you are there in the matter from the scratch till the end, because a draftman is absolutely essential in every matter. The one who has drafted the mother petition is always there in the matter. The client sees to it that that person is always there in the matter. The seniors also ask that that person who has drafted the matter be there in the conference, because the points he has taken, the points he has not taken, the facts, everything is known to the draftsman in and out. So he actually pressed upon me to concentrate on drafting first. Right. So that was one thing which I actually focused well, and that has helped me a lot. Focus on good drafting is a must for any person, any lawyer who wants to come into litigation.
बहुत अच्छी बातें बताई सौरभ आपने कि एक तो when you are in court you have to be attentive. That attention span can only be attained when you are observing in a courtroom and not when you are just having chai samosa in the canteen, which I think is also an important part. ऐसी बात नहीं उसकी अपनी.
Yes, absolutely. I would say that is also one of the very important part in a lawyer's life to spend some time in the court canteen, get to know your peers in the court, juniors, seniors, contemporaries. That is a very important part. And as you also know it, when you are there in the courtroom canteens, there are a lot of legal talks, courtroom talks that you have become privy to, which are also very important as a lawyer. But at the same time, you should also spend good quality time in the courtroom, trying to learn stuff. I remember during just my very early days, I was in a court and this judge, I'm failing to remember which judge it was, but the judge had a tax determination, and the junior mentioned the matter for some very basic thing, and the judge asked him under which provision of law. Mm-hmm. And it was so basic, the junior also got stumbled. And then the judge actually told, these are the most basic things. At least I'm not dismissing your petition is also good. But as a junior lawyer, you should know these basic things. That is why we ask you the basic questions. We don't ask the seniors the basic questions because they know it. Mm-hmm. So, that actually also, I was there in the courtroom, and that really, made me think over that, when we go and mention a matter, maybe it's just the basic mentioning, at least you should read up your facts and also the law, that which provisions of law you are, making this prayer. So that was one instance in the courtroom which, made me just take a backseat and just made me think and rethink, as in, the ways in which we conduct ourselves. Sometimes we take everything for granted, but spending time in the court, sometimes you get these very invaluable piece of advice that helps you become a better lawyer.
That is so true. Especially even when you're on the fringes and observing any lawyer, be it a young lawyer or old lawyer, and when they're in the line of fire, if I may say so. Yes. We also tend to reflect upon ourselves. Okay, this is a pertinent question, and why have we not thought about it? Especially, as you rightly pointed out, as a young lawyer, because अब आ तो गए कोर्ट में, अब जैसा आपने सवाल कर लिया कि किस प्रोविजन में अब ये बताओ, तो उसके लिए you have to be ready. That is called courtcraft and thinking on the fly.
That was fair enough to say that usually we do not ask these questions to the seniors because they know it, and we know it that they know it. Yeah. And that is other. You may say anything, but they can read the faces so nicely. So nicely, it's they read the face and they know that this guy does not know this thing. So let me drill him.
जी वो शक्ल में हवाइयाँ उड़ रही होती हैं.
And they actually, I've seen that they do it with the best of the intent, just to help a budding lawyer to, and guide that person well, that, you read up and come. Your matter is not going anywhere. You read, I want you to read up and come.
The idea is always to encourage, and I think that is one
Yes,
beauty
and
of
I
the
would
relation
say
between bar and the bench.
my experience in the courts have been that, the seniors and even the judges have also been very encouraging.
एब्सोल्युटली एब्सोल्युटली। तो एक मैं सवाल आपसे और करता हूँ सौरभ, क्योंकि आप टैक्स की दुनिया में इतना फोकस करते हैं, आपकी स्पेशलाइजेशन है वहाँ पे। तो जो नए बच्चे हैं या जो यंग लॉयर्स हैं, अगर उनको टैक्स की प्रैक्टिस करनी हो तो उसके लिए कोई ऐसा कोई स्पेशलिस्ट कोर्स आता है, कोई ऐसा मॉड्यूल है आज के लिए, कोई ऑनलाइन ऐसे कोर्सेज है जो वो देख सकें, स्पेशली क्योंकि कोरोना टाइम पे हैं हम लोग, थोड़ा सा हम लोग की आउटसाइड जो गोइंग कैपेसिटी थी लिमिटेड हो गई है एक तो वो, दूसरा लॉ स्कूल में इनकम टैक्स को बहुत डिटेल में नहीं पढ़ा जाता है। एक आपको इनकम टैक्स दे देते हैं, कोर्स करिकुलम में डाल देते हैं कि भाई नंबर ला के पास हो जाना, और टैक्स इज अ वेरी सीरियस सब्जेक्ट, पूरा देश जूझ रहा है इससे, इतने इतने लेवल पे जूझता है। आपका डायरेक्ट टैक्सेस हैं, इनडायरेक्ट टैक्सेस हैं, इनकम टैक्स ऑलमोस्ट ऑल ऑफ अस पे और पेरेंट्स पे, एक्सटेंडेड फैमिली, तो हर जगह टैक्स इन्वॉल्व है। कहा जाता है कि डेथ एंड टैक्सेस यू कांट अवॉइड। तो मेरा पहला सवाल आपसे ये है कि लॉ स्कूल के लेवल पे क्या आपको लगता है कि टैक्स के एज अ सब्जेक्ट, स्टडी सब्जेक्ट में कुछ चेंजेस आने चाहिए? और दूसरा, यंग स्टूडेंट्स और यंग लॉयर्स टैक्स की पढ़ाई कैसे कर सकते हैं?
See, taxes, one should understand, should be broadly divided into two, direct and indirect. So the direct, the foremost is the income tax, and indirect, we used to have excise service. Now everything has been, subsumed into GST. So GST is a big thing, and it's the biggest indirect tax regime in our country. So both these subject areas are tax fields, but both has to be studied absolutely separately. So I would want that, in the syllabus, both the subject areas are taught separately, and the students get to even choose whether to, study direct taxes or indirect taxes only. One may choose, I do not want to study direct taxes, I just want to study indirect taxes. That option should be given to students. And if a student wishes, they can study both. Because see, for direct taxes, you will have to have some, at least at the student level, you should have some accountancy background. And accountancy should also be taught as a course if you take up income tax.
Right.
And I know a lot of my peers, they had done CA plus LL.B. So that is actually a very difficult course actually to combine two big courses together. But if somebody can, then that is a very good option to do CA plus LL.B. That will give your basics get your basics very strong in income tax at least. And for the indirect taxes, I think so. Indirect taxes should be taught as a separate subject altogether, because it is based on a completely different set of principles, and income tax does not mingle with the indirect taxes in any way. So both the subjects should be taught differently and separately. And for law students wishing or aiming to get into taxation, I would say that there is a kind of fear that young graduates have to take up niche subjects. I would suggest, do not be afraid. Just given some time, what happens is that sometimes the students or the young lawyers, they get very impatient, and they spend 3 to 6 months and they leave this subject area. You should be, that is too small a time frame. You have to give 2 to 4 years to, if you really want to take up tax practice. 2 to 5 years you spend in a tax chamber. You get independent, but you focus on primarily your tax practice for at least 2 to 5 years. I'm sure the subject is will really interest you beyond all your expectations, and you'll do well. It is just that the any person who really takes the tax practice gives up within 6 months to 1 year, and then moves on to do other subject areas and aspects of law. but that's a very short tenure. In 1 year, I doubt you like the subject or really pick up something. You have to spend some good quality time of 2 to 5 years doing this branch of law.
हमने बड़ी अच्छी बात बताई कि one cannot have a short term approach, whether it be law as a career or especially in taxes, क्योंकि थोड़ा सा थोड़ा सा ड्राई सब्जेक्ट इसको मानते हैं लोग, और कहते हैं कि यार इसको समझना थोड़ा सा जटिल हो जाता है, बिकॉज सो इट्स क्वाइट अ कॉम्प्लेक्स सब्जेक्ट. तो बच्चे डर जाते हैं, घबरा जाते हैं, जो आपने सही बताया. पर घबराए ना, जैसे आपने एक और उदाहरण दिया, घबराइए मत, चीज़ों का सामना कीजिए. इतने अच्छे अच्छे मेंटर्स हैं हमारे लीगल इंडस्ट्री में, who will be hand holding you, who will be actually guiding you and making you understand the intricacies of such a subject. आपने एक और अच्छी बात बताई सौरभ, कि कई आपके फ्रेंड्स ने CA.
I just lost you. Your voice is muted.
Right. Can you hear me now? सौरभ, आपने एक अच्छी बात ये बताई कि आपके कई मित्रों ने CA भी किया LL.B के साथ, और मैं कई बार ऐसा भी देखता हूँ कि लोग CS भी करते हैं,
yes.
तो आपके हिसाब से कौन सा एक बेटर कॉम्बिनेशन है लॉ के साथ? इज इट CA और CS? आपके हिसाब से कौन सा, which one is better?
It depends on what is your liking, because CS will give you a good overview of the company law, and that will help you in your let us say NCLT practice and company law practice, and the CA will help you in your tax practice. But having said that, very few actually end up doing CA plus CS plus LL.B, because each of these courses is a full-time course, and it's let us say quite difficult. So combining these three courses would be 1 in a million person. So I would suggest, if it's until unless it's your cup of tea, do not be over ambitious and end up not doing anything well. Since you are pursuing LL.B, if you can, then only venture doing CA or CS with LL.B. But if you cannot, then try and take short courses of income tax and GST and other indirect taxes. Whatever courses are offered to you in your syllabus, take those.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, with those basic post-syllabus learning, when you dive into litigation practice, you will learn it along. Sometimes it really takes a toll.
Very true, very true.
So that may not be a very good idea unless you are up for it and you can manage that. Yes. Just to reiterate, I think that a student should not be over ambitious to do both two big courses. They are able to manage, not to discourage them, but combining 2 to 3 big courses is a very tough thing, because all these courses, CA, CS, and LL.B are quite extensive. So to do all of them together may not be the best idea, but I would advise stick to your syllabus course. If taxation is offered as a subject, maybe as an optional subject, take those subjects and complete the syllabus. I think that should be sufficient. And most of the learning will come when you dive into litigation practice and tax practice. Along the way, you learn the subject.
You'll only learn how to swim when you are actually taking a dive. दूर से देख के स्विमिंग नहीं सीखी जा सकती. आपने ये सही बताया. तो अगला सवाल सौरभ मेरा ये है कि अब आप ने अपना कीर्तिमान स्थापित कर लिया है और कलकत्ता में अपने दशकों से प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं. तो ये मुझे बताइए कि ज्यादा कठिन पहलू कौन सा रहता है जब आपकी अपनी प्रैक्टिस होती है, आपकी अपनी टीम है जिसको आप मैनेज कर रहे हैं, ज्यादा स्ट्रेसफुल है, या तब जब आप अपना करियर शुरू कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि तब भी आपके ऊपर आपके चेंबर का कार्यभार है, आपके जो मेंटर हैं, जो सीनियर हैं, वो आप इतना ट्रस्ट करते हैं. सो विच इज अ मोर स्ट्रेसफुल फेज?
So both the phases of a lawyer are completely different. When you are a chamber junior, your aim is to learn and perform vis-a-vis your senior. So your performance, your client may see or may not see also. but your performance actually your senior is seeing. So you are researching and you are doing the initial draft and handing it over to your senior, who is guiding you, who is criticizing you, who is applauding you. And when you become independent and you are independently handling your client, so you become answerable to your client directly. And I would say from personal experience also, when for example, when I was attending the chamber and I had to draft an opinion, and I knew that this opinion will be settled by my senior and then it will go to my client. So you that thing that you are answerable to your client, that pressure is not there. But once you go independent and you have to give an opinion independently, at the back of the mind you have that thing that this is going from my desk and I am answerable to it for it. Then that is a completely, that changes the mentality completely.
Right.
And it is at that time that responsibility sets in. And as you spend more time in the profession, your responsibility grows and your confidence also grows. But the both, once you have a senior settling a draft or in the matter, then you always, there is a natural tendency that you become more relaxed.
Right.
Though you are nowhere relaxed in your efforts, in that particular case you put in utmost effort for research, and you make it a point that and you have read up all the papers. But at the back of the mind, that relaxation is always there if a senior is leading you in a matter.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think extremely delicately put. And I'm sure our young viewers are also going to gain from this. So my next question, Saurabh, which I have for you, is what are your favorite verticals from your area of practice of taxation? And also, do you think, because we have so many laws in the country, even in the field of taxation, both direct and indirect, could we do with lesser number of laws?
See, my favorite is the indirect taxation is my forte, and now with this new GST regime, I'm doing a lot of GST matters, and GST has subsumed the most important taxes, indirect taxes in the country, that is the excise, service tax, and VAT regime. So both at the central and state level, the most important indirect taxes have been subsumed to GST. Customs are still independent, but GST is now the most important indirect tax in the country. And going forward, this law will really evolve. It's a good piece of legislation, but having said that, there are a lot of teething problems, and with the evolution of this new law, which is actually not a new law, it is just a development of the old law. Um, you know, and those lawyers and academicians who have spent time in doing the old law and have had experience under the erstwhile regime will actually be in a better position to read and advise on GST. And for the coming time, and we're really looking.
So very succinctly put, Saurabh. I think there was some signal which in between. I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, yes.
Right, right. So the next thing is, because in these GST matters, I'm not no tax expert, but there is bits and bob of my practice on the criminal side, and sometimes I keep getting inquiries, and often I also keep reading in the newspaper that there is a lot of criminal prosecution now attached to GST frauds or GST proceedings. So what is your take on that? Do you think they should have had added a penal provision in that?
What GST has done, it has tried to get everything in the electronic form. So there have been a lot of instances post the implementation of GST where the authorities have been able to pinpoint huge taxation frauds which were happening and which were till now not going reported, or which were not coming within the scanner of the tax authorities. One of the very most popular kind of frauds is the action or the perpetration of fake invoices. And on the basis of these fake invoices, the assessees take illegal input tax credits. And these are some of the very serious frauds and crimes under the GST legislation, which calls for criminal action and quasi-criminal action. So with this electronization of the entire regime, now the tax authorities are in a better position to try and pinpoint where the fraud is happening. Also, there is enormous exchange of information because the center and the states now are working together, and they are sharing common database, and hence both the authorities are working in tandem, and hence in this GST regime we are hearing, and now cases are coming up where if the perpetrators of such frauds are coming to limelight, and cases have been initiated against these people. And therefore you read in the newspapers also and on all the online websites relating to cases initiated for prosecution against frauds, especially GST frauds of fake invoices. But the major reason is exchange of information and digitization.
Right. Very nicely put, Saurabh. One question that I have for you, and I'll call it my penultimate question because I've taken much of your time. But we are unfortunately, living in Corona times, and as this matter would have it, some jurists and judges and advocates have also said that what we are expecting in 2030 has happened in 2020 in terms of digitization of courts. So now that you're in, Calcutta, please do tell us how the Calcutta High Court and the other district courts and tribunals have taken to the digitization, because you have your practice spread over tribunals and courts. So has that helped you individually as a lawyer? And what is the general take of the legal fraternity there? Are they happy or are they not so happy with the virtual hearings?
Yeah, I would tell you, when this pandemic started last time, March 2020, that time we had no infrastructure in the court for the virtual hearings. And when the courts remodeled itself, let's say around May or June, maybe July, 4 or 5 courts, they set up the infrastructure for virtual hearings. And today, Calcutta High Court and probably each High Court and the Supreme Court, all courts have the proper infrastructure in place, and every court has infrastructure for virtual hearing. So also in the tribunals, be it the CESTAT, that is Customs, Excise and Service Tax Tribunal, or the Income Tax Appellate Tribunal, all these tribunals have now laid out proper infrastructure for virtual hearings. My personal take is that going forward, the hybrid mode would be the best mode. One, because it saves a lot of time, money, and energy. You are able to argue your matters sitting in your own chamber, and you do not have to expend both time and energy to run to court, run from court to court. If you have a matter in court number 26 and you have to run to court number 1, that's how court practice has been. But with this digitization, it's just you have to swap your computer or maybe your screen, and you are in another court. And maybe not in the same city, you can even swap cities and argue in courts across the country sitting in your chamber. Absolutely. But having said that, virtual hearings, I personally feel is good for mostly small motion matters. For final hearings, where you have to cite a number of judgments and you have to take, the honorable bench through voluminous paper books and facts involved in each case. those types of hearings would still be more convenient if it is held physically. So going forward, I think for this hybrid mode is the best mode, and options should be given to the lawyers whether to argue physically or virtually. Obviously, this I'm talking once once we get over with the COVID times, this system should also be continued even then, and especially it will be a big boon for getting done with the motions matter. And then when the hearing is taken up, those hearing matters, those advocates who are there in those matters, they may come to court, because those hearing matters, they take a lot of time, and extensive arguments are also made by referring to various judgments and paper books, which is not so easy while arguing virtually. So the hybrid mode according to me is the best mode going forward. And as you rightly put it, this COVID has actually put what was to come in 2030 in 2020.
Let's just hope, fingers crossed that this tsunami of corona is behind us, and everybody is here and hearty. As is the matter of, please.
We should pray that we just get over this as soon as we can, and as each individual, we should be very careful and in getting out and maintaining the social norms, wearing masks when venturing out, going out only if it is needed right now. Because the situation we falls upon each one of us to control it.
एक चुटकुला मैंने पढ़ा व्हाट्सएप पे, जो आपने अच्छी बात बताई कि मास्क पहने, एहतियात बरतें, तो ये था कि अगर आपको अमरता का वरदान नहीं मिला है तो बाहर जाके अपनी जान जोखिम में न डालें। तो ये मुझे किसी ने व्हाट्सएप पे फॉरवर्ड किया है, मैं समझता हूँ कि हमारे जो दर्शक इसको सुन रहे हैं इस पे अमल करें। सौरभ जी ने भी आपसे इतनी बढ़िया बात की, और सौरभ, जैसा कि हमारे प्रोग्राम का एक कस्टम है और कर्टसी भी है, हम अपने अतिथियों से जाने से पहले हमेशा उनका एक क्लोजिंग कमेंट मांगते हैं, टिप्पणी मांगते हैं। सो फॉर यंग व्यूअर्स, एंड व्हेन आई से यंग, आई मीन पीपल हु आर young in heart and young at mind, not just the physical age, उनके लिए आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे?
I would say take the profession with an open mind, hard work and honest work, and spend some time in the profession. Come to litigation, take to litigation, and do not chase money. As many seniors have already told us, and we can see it also, money will chase you. So do not be impatient. Come to the profession. We need young lawyers and graduates to take to litigation and not chase money.
बड़ी अच्छी बात बताई सौरभ आपने कि सब्र थोड़ा सा करें और पैसे के पीछे ना भागें। ये बड़े बुजुर्ग भी कह गए हैं, और जितने वरिष्ठ वकील हैं, जज साहब हैं, वो भी हमको ये बात बार बार बताते हैं, दोहराते हैं। और जैसे कि आपने अपना जो पूरा एक्सपीरियंस हमसे साझा किया, उसके लिए आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। फिर से आपका शुक्रगुजार हूँ कि आपने अपना समय निकाला और हमारे यहाँ प्रोग्राम पर आए। और जाते जाते अपने दर्शकों से हम एक और अपील करना चाहते हैं कि अगर आपको हमारी लीगल मुहिम समझ आती हो और आपको लगता है कि इससे एक हम सकारात्मक और एक पॉजिटिव चेंज लाने में अगर हम सक्षम हैं या सफल हो सकते हैं समाज में, तो प्लीज़ हमारे चैनल को लाइक करें, शेयर करें, सब्सक्राइब करें और दूसरों तक हमारी आवाज़ पहुंचाने में हमारी मदद करें। Until next time, see you soon.